Welcome to Tracy Erin Talks, where functional medicine meets personal development. You want to be living your best life, but the overwhelming amount of health information out there is confusing, and the way you think about yourself is keeping you stuck. You know you are meant for more. As a women's health specialist, my aim is to simplify and equip you with the tools you need to be beautifully balanced from the inside out.
In progress.
Welcome back to Tracy Erin Talks, where today I have a very special guest with me. In my intro, I like to describe this podcast as touching on topics that are prevalent to women, such as women's health, motherhood, and my favorite thing, tacos. I have yet to talk about tacos, but today we are going to dive into the deep world of mothering because my very special guest is my firstborn son, Riley. I'm so glad that you're here today, Riley.
How's it going?
This is a lot of fun. We are sitting in our homeschool room / office space that I have taken over since I started my business with the stand-up desk in the middle. Although we are surrounded by years of books and curriculum and things that we have used as we've homeschooled Riley from the very beginning and all of his siblings. So that's just to set the stage for where we are. We've got our cups of hot tea with us. And I must tell you, there has been zero prep for this. So I've got a couple things that I want to ask him, and I just want to interview him to kind of get his take on what it was like to grow up in our home. And I'll touch on aspects of mothering along the way. And I hope that you enjoy this. So there's a very special thing that's happening tomorrow, and that is the end of one season and the beginning of the next, which is to say that at 7 a.m, we will have our car fully loaded and drive Riley to his new college where he will be moving into the dorms and starting his life down there. So he'll be moving out of our home. Thankfully, won't be too far away. We can visit whenever we need to or want to, and he can come home as well. But it's definitely going to be a change of pace for all of us. Those here left at home, his 4 siblings, obviously his dad and I, and also for him, because it's going to be a big new experience. So as excited as I am allowing myself, or I should say, giving myself the grace to cry the entire way home after we drop him off. Do you think he'll cry, Riley?
Think I'll cry?
Do you think I'll cry?
Definitely.
Really?
I
See,
think so.
I have thought all this time, there's no way. I'm just nothing but excited. This is not an emotional event. However, I am shocking myself because as I get deep into the reality of how drastically different our home life will be without you, I think that I will. And I have no shame in that. No shame in it. It's definitely going to be hard. All right. So you want to talk about I'll talk about the mothering stuff. You talk about the
son stuff.
The son stuff, and let's get going. So why don't you tell us what was one of your favorite memories growing up in our home?
Oh, favorite memory. I have a lot of favorite memories. I'll start off with my favorite trip that we've ever done. We, about every 4 years, we go back home to California, to where I was born. And this last trip, it was really, really good. It was the first time I started to connect really with my siblings. They've always, Abram is 4 years younger than me, and everyone else is younger than that. So we've always had like a big age gap, and it was just really nice to like connect with them and just to see how they were experiencing life as a trip, and then I could just kind of connect with them in that way. And also getting to see where I was born, going back surfing, going to LA. LA was very fun. And yeah, I mean, it was just a really good trip. I would say my favorite memory of home would probably be, we had this trampoline a couple years back, and jumping on the trampoline with my siblings and just in general was just such a great memory. It was something I could always go do, even with friends when they would come over. I could just jump around and play around and like get the energy out. So
I've always loved that about you. My word for you, if I could pick one word, would be enthusiastic. and you just have a very contagious enthusiasm, and you've always liked to play. You've never been too cool or too old to play, and so I love that. I love that story about the trampoline. And I love that story about going back to California last year because we were thinking, "You're gonna be 18, we should do this now because there's only so much more time that we can all do this as a family all together before you move out, before you get your own life and have commitments that you can't just take 2 weeks from and go travel north to south the entire state of California." That was a lot of fun. So, all right, so we got the trampoline. Okay. Well, how about what was your favorite age growing up?
Favorite age. It's going to seem kind of wild because I would say one of the words that describes me would be independent. And I would say probably age 16. I mean, this last year, age 18 is very awesome. And life's gotten better every year. But age 16, on my birthday, I got my license and I was able to drive that night. And it was amazing. Just that extra sense of freedom and the ability to go and do things without having to ask for a ride or having to ask for help was just really, really good for me. I think mentally more than anything. That year I made a lot of new friends as well. I was able to start going to a youth group that I've just been so involved with and really spent a lot of time at these past 2 years. And I've just made so many friends and been able to connect with so many people just because I've been able to drive and do things a little bit more on my schedule and not having to wait, which thankfully mom and dad have been so amazing about taking me places when I was too young to drive. I mean, they were always down to take me to a friend's house or to a sports or to school or really anywhere I needed to go. I mean, that was never a problem. It was just the ability to do that myself was just really, really amazing.
For sure. Yeah, and for me, it was amazing because it's one less child to drive around, so I loved it too. It was mutually beneficial.
Mm.
What do you think about growing up homeschooling?
Well, that's kind of a funny story. I say, especially for me, because as you might remember, I wanted to go to public school for the longest time.
Oh, I remember.
I mean, I begged pretty much. I wanted to go to public school. I wanted to make friends there. I wanted to just be a part of public schools. Like, and I wanted to, like, I mean, forever growing up until about 16, I would say, when I got my car. Though I don't think they're necessarily related, I think I was able to see more people in my life. And I kind of got that sense of freedom that I was looking for and that I thought school would give me. But I was able to find that in the freedom of a car. I would also say now, kind of looking in hindsight, just going through high school, I mean, I've been homeschooled my entire life. It was really good for me. It's given me a lot of perspective. But one thing I will always comment on, especially for me going to college, is a lot of the teachers, professors that I've kind of been with through my life, they have a college format in homeschooling. So I'm very used to the college way and especially the independence. I'm able to get work done on my own time and not have teacher up like just kind of on me the entire time. Cause I know college is a lot more do it your on your own pace, but you also need to have it done by a certain time. So I think homeschooling is gonna really, really help me going forward into my college years. And I'd also say I think there's this stigma about like homeschoolers being weird or antisocial or messed up in some ways, but I wouldn't say that at all. I've gotten this kind of compliment my entire life, along with all my siblings, of how in the world are you homeschooled? Like, you're totally normal. You're just as cool as us. You are a person that isn't like antisocial at all, actually. And I really think like just some people can give. Some people are naturally introverts and some people don't like talking to people as much. And if that's the way you're at, I mean, that's the way you're at. But that just because you're homeschooled does not mean at all that you are any less antisocial or any less cool or any less anything. I mean, I'd say that even the youth group that I go to, a very large youth group at a very large church here in Tennessee, very well known. I want to say 70% of all of the students there are homeschooled. There is no shortage of them, especially here in Middle Tennessee. And Yeah, it's not weird to be homeschooled.
I'm glad that you're breaking the stigma. There's so many different ways to homeschool, and homeschooling looks different for each family. And yeah, there are some stereotypes out there, but you definitely break the mold. I guess it helps to have a cool mom too, huh?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Maybe that helps. Yeah. And homeschooling gives you that advantage of learning how to be independent and get your work done. It also teaches you how to actually learn, not just for the test to pass a test, but the subject as a whole so that you actually can master it as ideas build upon ideas. And that's very college like. So I have zero doubts, Riley, you're going to do amazing in college. You're going to be wildly successful in whatever you pursue. What are you thinking about studying in college?
So my major as of right now is exercise science. I would love to be a physical therapist or in some ways a chiropractor. I'm not sure exactly where I want to go into. All I know is I want to help athletes. I'm a dream job for me would be being the physical therapist for example, the Titans or just an NFL team, really, even a MLB team or the NBA team. I think that'd just be so neat. There's a lot of cool things and cool people that I can meet through that. And that's just a lifestyle that I really, really look up to and want to make my lifestyle.
Are you going to get me free tickets to games?
Yes, I will.
Okay, cool. That would be amazing. You are extremely athletic yourself, and so I've always thought that you would in some way end up working with the human body or athletes. At some point we should do a podcast episode on your own body transformation and how you got into weightlifting and your journey in learning how to optimize your body composition, lower body fat, build muscle, increase your water, all the things that made you into the how do you say?
Athlete.
The athlete, but more than that, like just with the physique that you have right now at 18, it's obviously from a lot of discipline. You don't wake up and do nothing and look like
Discipline.
you get to look. So let's talk about that sometime because I would love to share with people how you did that and what we can learn from that.
I'd love to. That sounds really great.
All right. Well, we'll catch that at some like weekend when you're home from college. How about that?
Great.
What do you think you're going to miss most when you move out?
Oh, that's hard. I would say my real answer, and this is not me being cheesy, but I'm probably gonna miss my family the most, especially my siblings. I think I commented on it earlier, but I've just been getting a lot closer to my younger siblings, and we've just become so much more like friends. Feels like I'm leaving friends in the house that I grew up in, and that's really sad for me. I'm also gonna miss the home cooked meals from mom and dad because they're such good chefs and they really, really put a lot of effort and time into making food for me and all of us. I'm also, of course, going to miss the friends that I've made here and the connections I've made along with like youth groups and the gym and the things that I just find special with this place. I'm going to miss that a lot. But I'm also really looking forward to kind of the next chapter. I know that kind of the things I mentioned on that last half of things, I'm going to miss. Like all those things are going to get better in college. And I'm just going to be able to make a community and a place that's really more of myself and not just a hometown I kind of grew up in. I'm really just excited to get out there and do my own thing and have that independence and the really just to build again a community.
Yeah, for sure. And build your own identity.
Identity is big.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what moving out and getting on your own is all about.
Mm,
You get to fly your own wings now.
yes. I cannot wait.
So I think it's really amazing the last week or so, as you've been counting down to the days that you're going to be moving away to college and into your dorm, you've really made a concerted effort to spend time with your siblings, each one. And me, wait, did we go out?
We've gone out a lot of times.
What did we go out recently though?
Yeah, it's at least, remember?
Okay, all right, we'll count that. Yeah, so Riley had it on his heart to spend a special time, a set aside time, something planned that would communicate how much he cares about the other person, something unique to them and what they liked with each person in our family before he moved away. This was completely his idea. He did this all on his own. And he paid for food on his own and bought things on his own. And I thought it was really, really special. So, yeah, one of the things that Riley and I like to do if we ever need to have a heart to heart or talk on a deeper level, we love to go for wings. That's like our thing. So, we got to do that a little while ago. He's been working at a barbecue restaurant. And so we got to split some wings and at the place where he was working, and it was delicious. And we spent many hours just catching up on all the things that are important to him before he moves out. And that's something that I hold very special to me is one-on-one times. When you have a big family, there has to be a way that you can pour into each one individually. And Riley was definitely doing this for each of us. So then with his sibling after him, so boy number 2, they went into downtown Nashville. This actually just happened last night and walked around and found a concert and bought tickets and went to the outdoor amphitheater.
Yep.
And Abram said, you guys ended up, I asked him, did you go to Legendary Milkshake Bar? He said, yeah, we ran all the way up there just as they were closing, but the lady was nice and let you guys in.
Can I tell the story?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so the concert got out 10:55, and Legendary Milkshakes that's like the name of it. And they are legendary, but that is the name of the milkshake place. And they closed at 11. So, and it was about 5 blocks far and 2 blocks up. So we get out of the concert, they close the song. We get out of the concert so fast. I mean, we sprint all 5 blocks. We have to take a detour because this road's closed. And we get there. I mean, we run up to the door as she's closing the door and taking the sign in. Like, as she's doing it. And we're like, is there any way we can get like some ice cream? Like, we just ran all the way from the Creek concert. Like, can we please get some ice cream? And she was like, wow, you ran all this way. Sure. We don't have any shakes, but we do have ice cream. And she actually gave us ice cream. I got cookie dough and Abram got chocolate, I'm pretty sure.
Nice.
She just gave it out of the kindness of her heart. And me working in a restaurant, I understand how kind of annoying that can be for customers just to come in that last second. You think you're all cleaned up, you're ready just to go home, but because another customer comes in, and I get how it's kind of disheartening that is. So I want to just shout out to her and how great she was as a person, how kind she was, just to say like, hey, I know that you really wanted this and I want to make your day a little better. So shout out to her.
Shout out. Kudos to Legendary Milkshake Bar. Lady working at closing last night. Good job. Thanks for letting my boys get some free ice cream. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. And then for Silas is pretty cool because he just turned 14 and he's at the same age that Riley was when he built his own PC from parts. Literally. Bunch of parts came in various boxes in the mail. And he assembled it all and made his own computer. And Silas wanted to do the exact same thing, but had no idea what to order or how to go about doing that. So that was Riley's activity with him, was to get everything ordered for him and all the right parts and pieces, and then spend the time to assemble it correctly, which Silas will have that computer for a long time. He's never going to forget that.
Yeah. It's a good computer. It's going to last him a very long time.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. All right, then Psalm. You today took her to lunch?
Went to the mall first.
Went to the mall first. You know, every 11-year-old girl loves to walk around the mall. And went into a bunch of stores, came home with a couple fun things, and then went to lunch. And she got to pick that place. And Riley is 100% her favorite sibling. Let's just say her favorite person in the world, because that's probably not overestimating. She adores this boy. So that was very, very special. And I can guarantee she's gonna be in tears as we pull away from you tomorrow. I'll try to keep my cool, but Psalm, we're bringing Kleenex for that one for sure.
Mhm. She said she missed me. She was gonna miss me most by like a whole lot. She said if it was 100%, she would be 50%.
Wait, if
If missing me was 100% out of all of us, she was carrying 50% of that.
oh, I see, I see. So she's not even gonna carry like 1/6.
Mm.
She's gonna take half of it
All to herself.
all to herself. Oh my goodness. That's funny. Only a big family makes percentages like that. That's awesome. No, she's gonna miss you so bad. She'll never forget today, so that was pretty special. All right, so then there's little 8-year-old Noble. He's pretty much happy as a clam doing anything, but what'd you do to make him feel special?
So I set up her some time. So Noble really likes to play Fortnite. I mean, Noble really play Fortnite. He plays a lot. And I also like to play Fortnite. I am better than him, so everyone knows.
It's an
And
ongoing debate in the family,
it's
actually,
it's
who's
not a
better.
debate. It's clear.
You think it's settled?
Very settled. Me and Noble just I spent some time with him. I kind of got on for I want to say 3 to 4 hours, and we just kind of talked and played Fortnite. I wasn't sure exactly what to do with him just because he's young and I wasn't sure, but he plays Fortnite so much, and it was just clear like, hey, you want to hop on and play some Fortnite for a while? And he was like, yes, definitely. And we did that, and it was great. And we got one of Victory Royales.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, how about this? I'm sure you've got a lot of answers to this one, but can you think of one rule that we had for you as parents that you just simply did not appreciate or maybe just didn't understand? What's that one thing for you?
That is a very funny story, last question, because I can think of none and all at the same time. But there's one that
Okay.
sticks out like a very sore thumb,
Let's hear it.
and it is not unreasonable. And it's actually so incredibly reasonable. And it's so right. It should be a rule. And I completely endorse it. But there's something about it that I can't get behind. And that is my parents really like for me to text before I come home when it's at night. It's very reasonable, but there's something in my brain. They have my Life 360. They have my location on app. Like there's no location being they can just check and see where I am all the time. Because they're my parents and that's cool. But they still ask me to tell them when I'm leaving. You could say, what time did I get home and subtract how many minutes it was to that place. And then you find out exactly when I left. Like it wasn't, it's not, I don't know. It's not that it doesn't make sense. I just cannot get behind it.
Do you want me to explain it to you?
I mean, you can if you'd like to,
Because this is
but
how
but
this is how
it's
it
not
works.
unreasonable.
This is how it works in my head. Yeah, I could look at Life 360. I don't usually, unless I haven't heard from you in a long period of time. But I think the text me when you leave part is because, we're going about our lives, right? And you're always on our minds. And when we get that text that says, I'm leaving now, my brain calculates how long it's going to take for you to get from where you are to home. Let's say you're in Nashville. I know it's going to take 35 to 40 minutes, but then I'll give you some traffic and I'll say, okay, 45 minutes. All right, I'm going to say you're going to stop for gas. I'm going to say 50, 55 minutes. And in my mind, I say 1 hour from now, 100%, Riley should be home walking through that door. So then I set this invisible timer in my mind that just says, expect him in an hour from now. And then I can think about, then I don't have to think about your drive, whether or not you're safe, whether or not you're on a ditch in the side of the road, whether or not you've run into trouble, been pulled over, gotten an accident, anything like that when you walk in the door an hour later, or hopefully less than that because you didn't stop for gas and you didn't have traffic and you didn't have all those extra time things. So it's like peace of mind for the parent to know when you leave, I should expect you in X number of minutes so that when an hour has passed and I've already given you all of the leeway in my mind that I can give you for all these extra things. When an hour has passed and you're not here, now I can go to Life 360. Now I can call you and say, "Are you okay?" Now I wonder and begin to worry. Parents don't want to worry any longer than they have to. And so it kind of like cuts all the worrying short to just that drive home till we know you're home safe.
Fair. I didn't say it was very simple.
I know you understood it,
I
but
get it.
that's where it comes
get
from.
it.
I think, at least in my mind, that's where that comes from.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say something like that I couldn't have a cell phone till I was 13, or I couldn't watch the Marvel movies till I was 13, and my brother watched them when he was 6.
That was
For video games, and they're noble
I
as,
wasn't
like,
allowed to
doing
play
all the
video
things.
games, I mean, until I was probably 14, 15. I wasn't really allowed to have a phone until 15. And
15? Was it really 15?
I think it was 15.
No. Really?
I think my iPod was 14,
Yeah.
and that had just Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And now Psalm, the girl, has a phone with Wi-Fi at 11,
Well, she has a phone with Wi-Fi, but not a phone. We're keeping it at age 13
kind of.
for the actual phone. Yeah.
But she has phone with Wi-Fi.
She has something that her grandma gave her that barely works. But yes, okay.
So that is a point of
I thought you were
fixation.
gonna say any of those.
Now, like,
You
another
know,
one.
as a firstborn, you just can't wrap your mind around it, okay? Because you're like the experiment batch. You're the first pancake. You're the first batch of cookies. You're like, how did our recipe go? What do we need to adjust? What do we need to change? By the time you get to your fifth baby, you're like, okay, I know what battles to pick. I know how all this goes. And I'm not going to say you get a little lazy. I'm going to say you get much wiser.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's hard for somebody like you, the firstborn, to understand because you're thinking, well, how come he can do it when I couldn't? Right? But for the most part, you've handled that pretty well. So thank you for not doing too much complaining around that. Speaking of which, I happen to think that you are an amazing young man, and I have nothing but Riley's doing the heart symbol right now with his hands. Yeah, I fear nothing for your future. You're bright. You have an amazing character. You're a gentleman. You're very polite and courteous and thoughtful, and you're everything I ever wanted a son to be. So let's say that there was a new young mom holding her brand new baby boy in front of you. And being as mature as you are, I think you could come up with something. So I'm going to ask you, what kind of advice would you give that new young mom of a son? What would you want her to know?
So I actually have a really, in my mind, a great answer for that.
Okay.
So I've recently been reading this book as a Bible study with some of the seniors at my youth group. And it's been a really great book, Wild at Heart. And it really dives deep into young manhood and the wound that men can suffer from, and just how men have grown in this day and age and what is stopping us. Because I feel like there's a lot of attention onto, especially like women's emotions, but the men's emotions doesn't really get covered a lot. So it's a really good book to kind of think about and discover that. And I'd already thought this before, but it said it really, really well. And it's basically along the lines of, when your boy gets a little bit older, it's obviously not an infant or even up to like a year old, but going to and on, you need to let your kid, especially when he's a boy, have adventures and do semi-dangerous things.
That's a hard one for moms.
Yeah, it's hard. Especially moms love their kids, and like they don't want to see them get hurt. And there's always the what if? Like, what if they get hurt? What if this happens? But they put it a really good way. It's controlled chaos. you need to put parameters. I mean, you're not going to let them cross the road when there's cars going all over like that. That is definitely dangerous and doesn't need to happen. But if they want to go and play a sport that's maybe a little dangerous, or they're going to go jump on the trampoline or like in the trampoline park with their friends, and like, accidents happen. They do, but you just need to trust in God, but also in your kid that nothing's going to happen and that boys really, really need that sense of adventure to grow. The other thing I'll say is boys, especially young boys, have constant infatuation with fighting and war and all the things that hold very dear in our lives. And it never really goes away, but it's very heightened when you're young. Um, and sometimes that can look like having sword fights or Nerf guns and
Wrestling.
wrestling. Yeah. And those things on a deep level, those things can technically hurt your kid. Those things can injure. Those things can have bruises or cuts or things like that. But I think talking to a mom, just saying like, hey, he's going to be okay. And what's really nice about it is young boys, their bodies are the most resilient you'll ever find. I mean, I know, at least for my brothers and even myself, we've had cut stars, whatever in our life, it's completely gone in a year. Like there is nothing that's extremely, extremely almost fatal that would stay there for the rest of your life or scar them for a very long time. So to wrap it all up, I would say let your boy be a little bit dangerous. Let him go and have an adventure. Let him go and do something that he really wants to do, even if you think it is a little bit dangerous. Not unsafe, but dangerous.
Yeah. To go after that adventure,
Definitely.
that wild at heartness that all boys have inside them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's part of masculinity, right? Is to conquer, to have a domain, to pursue something and to win it. It's and yeah, you want to have that spirit from the very beginning and not be raised in a bubble
Yes.
or bubble wrap.
Don't. Those things are not good, especially for boys.
Not good for boys.
Don't overly protect them. Again, keep them safe. They need to be safe. They don't need to be in an actually dangerous situation. But
Yeah.
letting them be a little bit free is totally okay.
Okay, I like that. Okay. Well, in that same vein, then what's one thing from your parents that you'll take into becoming a dad yourself?
Well, I cannot wait for the day to become a dad. I'm going to be so happy when that happens. Especially to find out who my wife. I think it'll be awesome.
Me too.
I would say
Love it.
answers I would put in specifically for my parents. I would say just a very loving nature. I kind of grown up in a house that we underlined our undertone was family and loving each other and being around each other and not letting devices or fights or quarrels or toys or all the thousands of things that can minorly divide a household let us affect the major part of our relationships. And I think that's really driven forward by the parents with this constant, I'd say, intentionalness of loving our kids and loving the kids equally and apart from each other. I think that some parents say like, oh, I love my kids. And that's awesome. Like you do love your kids, but I feel like my parents have done a really good job of, I love Riley. I love Abram. I love Silas. I love Saul. Loving us individually, but all together.
Mm.
And I think that's it's really powerful and also keeps a family together because it keeps us all individuals. I feel like a lot of families really get stuck in, especially big families, just get stuck in this cycle of the kids feeling like they're not individuals. They're just part of this family, that everything is just for the family and not for them at all individually. And that's a harder part of a big family. And I get it for parents. It's really hard. And you're not lacking. That's something you're not necessarily doing in this moment, but it's a skill that you definitely should work on. But just when you love your children independently, I feel like that they'll want to go and just make these friends and get away from the household. I would reference public school in this vein. Like, I would say that 90% of all public schoolers, I see if you just took a survey and that they would probably say that they would rather be with their friends than their family, or
Mhm.
they would rather just not be around their family. And now there are plenty of different situations, different house situations, different sibling situations. Sometimes there's just crappy things that happen, like, and that's a part of life, and that's totally okay. But I feel like it's also really driven by this point of the family is loved as a family and they're not loved as individuals. And I feel like if they were loved individually in that family, they would not have as strong of a pull to be loved so individually by others.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's probably what I'd say.
Yeah. That makes sense. What about traditions?
Traditions.
What traditions do you think you're gonna take with you?
Traditions. Uh, I don't know if it's a tradition necessarily, but every year we have a Christmas tree, and every year it's a real tree. We don't do fake trees in our house. It is only real trees, and we have a lot of ornaments that we put on. And the ornaments that we put on, I'm not shaming anyone, but we have special ornaments. They're things throughout our life, things that my parents have collected through their travels of the world, things that we've kind of collected through our travels as a family. Every house we've had, I mean, there's a sentiment to something, and there's just sentiment all over the tree in so many ways.
Mm.
And as a tradition, I just really would want to keep that way of keeping the Christmas tree just this special thing that is built up like from the parents and has memories all throughout everyone in this house's lives. And just having that be kind of a symbol of like, wow, these are all the things we've done. And
Mhm.
these are all the things that if room left on the tree, so all these things are left to do. That's it.
I love that tradition, and I love so many other traditions that we have, like Saturday morning pancakes that Papa makes,
That's another good one.
lots of birthday things, all the holidays. Everything gets celebrated in this house, and I absolutely love that, and a big family is super fun to accomplish that. Talking about being excited, what are you most excited about, Riley? You're moving out tomorrow. You're going to college.
I definitely, yeah, meeting new people. I want to make some lifelong friends in college. That's one of my biggest goals. And also just learning more about the human body and just learning how to study and really learn about how just the human body works and how I can best improve and optimize my own body and my own training and just my everyday life. I'd definitely say though, making friends and just kind of starting that, as I said earlier, that independent chapter in my life, being able to step out and be my own man.
Yeah, that's awesome. What about sports? You gonna play any sports in college?
Sports. I'm looking to play intramural lacrosse, and I'd love to play volleyball and some form of like track, or I'm not sure yet. I may end up trying to join the football team, but we'll see. My mother's great. Just see the look on her face.
I really thought that was the rule you were gonna say you didn't appreciate.
That is the other one I didn't appreciate was
Which was it? Let them know. What is the rule?
my mom said while I'm under her roof, I am not allowed to play football for my own safety.
Mhm. Yeah, and I understand this is not a popularity vote, so I was not, interested in other people's opinions in this. Not everybody agrees with me here, and I am perfectly okay with that. But let me tell you, people have been recruiting Riley for football ever since he was like 2 years old at the grocery store because he's always been taller than his peers, larger than his peers, stronger than his peers, and he has just been a fine specimen. And so people see him and say, he would be amazing on my football team. Look how he can run. He's obviously bigger than everybody. He's stronger than everybody. He's indestructible. And I certainly did not want you to become somebody else's punching bag. And I see just a lot of brain injuries that happen in the sport of football. And if you've got skills, you can get them in college, just like you can get them in high school. I know you might miss out on some scholarship opportunity, but um, we'll see. How about this? You join a football team. I'll come to all your games.
Sounds really nice. It maybe would make up for all of the lost time. Well,
We'll see. We'll see. Yeah. At least your brain's intact.
it's true.
I'm very proud about
Very
that.
true. Even though I play lacrosse, the second most dangerous sport.
Yeah, I didn't realize that when I signed you up. I just did not realize that lacrosse was just a step down from football.
Kind of the same, just with pedal sticks.
What was I thinking?
Not your thing.
I don't know either. Probably doesn't help that I had never actually seen a game played in my entire life. All right. Well, you've got lots of packing to get to. Your best friend to say goodbye to, and a big family dinner we're going to have tonight to celebrate your last night at home. How about any final thoughts?
Love yourself, love God, and love your family.
I like that. Is that a motto?
I guess so.
Well, Riley's mantra.
I feel like my real mantra would just be do everything to your utmost power and ability.
I like that.
Don't put less effort into things because something else is gonna get hard later. You can do both of them to the best of your ability. You don't need to save energy.
I like
You
that.
never know.
Yeah.
That's probably what I'd say.
Okay. All right. Well, let me ask you one final question that I ask everybody that I have on this podcast, which is, what is one thing you do that supports your health on a daily basis?
I would say two things mainly. One, I have a lot of vitamin C, and my kind of personal preference, I know that not everyone likes this necessarily, but I have a lot of vitamin C, and I have a lot of vitamin C specifically in a powder form. I really, really like the powder. It's just easy to put in a drink or just buy a shaker bottle or whatever kind of way you like to have it. And I can have like a lot more milligrams of that than just pills or something like that. So just having lots of loads of vitamin C, as soon as I feel just a little bit sick, as soon as I'm just kind of feeling a little bit icky, I can just immediately just overload on vitamin C. And that usually can scare it off and just give me better. And I'd say the second most thing, which I know we talked a little bit about earlier, and I know we're going to visit at another time, was just diet related things. I've seen just so much improvement from the diet and the cut that I've been on for the last 6 or so months. It's not necessarily that I'm just never getting sick, but the foods that I'm intaking, I mean, I don't really have carbs anymore. And at least not like breads and gluten carbs.
You have rice.
Yeah, right. Not really.
And you'll eat.
Rice. I never eat rice. I have a lot of vegetables.
Yeah.
So just fibrous carbs. I have a lot of those. And obviously they're really good for you. But just taking your diet seriously, cutting out a lot to most of the sugar, and having the only sugar you eat being just natural sugars found in fruits and just natural things. And also just like, even now, just trying like other foods, like, oh, I have a cookie, or if I have something like, which is a bunch of sugar, or it's like really processed, maybe just like really processed bread, my stomach just feels nasty inside. And I'm just not able to really ever kind of get out of the way of feeling amazing because of my diet. So my diet's really helped me feel amazing. And to be honest, I haven't really gotten sick since I've started. I mean, there's a lot of things I test in my diet, and I would say that just kind of that health and being able to eat clean and healthy is just such a big factor in my life, and you should try it. It's really worth it.
I like it. Awesome. So what you're saying is nutrition matters?
Nutrition really does
It
matter.
really does matter. What you do on a daily basis matters?
I know. From a firsthand, undeveloped 18-year-old brain, you heard it here first.
You heard it here first. I love it. Riley, it's been so fun to have you here today on Tracy Erin Talks, your mother's podcast. You might be my favorite guest to date.
Let's go.
All right. So let's do this again and talk about your bodybuilding, talk about your nutrition plan and how you accomplish that. And maybe we'll get an interview in here at some point about what you're learning in college. Okay. Well, I love you, and let's get to packing so that we can drive away tomorrow and get you settled into your new home on the dorms.
Sounds great.
All right. Thank you for tuning in to Tracy Erin Talks. Thank you for joining me today on Tracy Erin Talks. I hope you found today's episode enriching to your life. If you enjoyed today's content, would you consider subscribing to the podcast and leaving a review? That simple act helps this podcast get into the hands and ears of many more women just like you. Remember, anything you want and do not yet have will require a new set of beliefs, thoughts, actions, and a new you. I am honored to be on this journey with you as we wholeheartedly pursue true health and wellness in mind, body, and soul.